Hey everybody, so we finally made it. This is our last season preview for the 2019-2020 season, and it is the Winnipeg Jets. I have put this off for as long as I possibly could, trying to see how this team actually turned out with all the RFAs and all the just disastrous offseason that the Jets have had, everything going on. Putting a lineup together for them right now is nearly impossible. But I can't put it off anymore. I said I was going to finish it this week. The NHL season, regular season starts next week. I've got to finish these up. So as of the recording of this video, Patrik Laine is still not signed. Kyle Connor is still not signed. Dustin Byfuglien is suspended by the team and has not shown up to training camp. Just absolutely brutal offseason for Winnipeg, as I talked about in the video a few days ago about how disastrous their offseason has been. I'm going to try and do my best to do a season preview for them, but there's still so many unknowns for this team headed into the season. Before I get into the video, I just quickly want to say that if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and follow along for all my hockey content this season. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that like button. That really will help out the channel a lot and is greatly appreciated. So, Winnipeg, the last couple of years have been a very, very good team, a Stanley Cup contending team. They did get knocked out in the first round last year, but it was to eventual Stanley Cup champion St. Louis. They went to the conference final the year before, and this was a team that people thought was going to be good for years and years to come, and they had some great pieces in place, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, Patrik Laine, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers. They had Jacob Trouba. They had Dustin Byfuglien anchoring the back end, Connor Hellebuck in goal. This was a team that was supposed to be really, really good for a long time. But the salary cap hit and happened, and we live in the salary cap era, and they've just not been able to keep it together because of money. They're close up against the cap. They've got a lot of players making a lot of money. They ended up losing a ton of players this offseason. They still have important players not signed, and it's just been an absolute train wreck of an offseason for the Winnipeg Jets. So the players that are first off, their defense core got completely destroyed. This was a team that over the last couple of years I thought had one of certainly a top 5, maybe even a top 3 overall defense core, 1 through 7 in the entire league. That has been completely destroyed. Tyler Myers left in free agency for Vancouver. Ben Sherratt left in free agency for Montreal. Jacob Trouba traded to the New York Rangers because they couldn't afford him. So the salary cap has cost you 2 top 4 defensemen, 3 top 6 defensemen out of your lineup from the great defense core that you had last year. Also now, Dustin Byfuglien, suspended, did not report to training camp, mulling retirement. It really looks like he might retire and may not play in the NHL again. Reportedly has lost his love for the game, doesn't want to come back. So he's currently out of the lineup as well. So your top 4 defense last year was Byfuglien, Morrissey, Trouba, and Myers. Byfuglien is gone, Trouba is gone, Myers is gone. Just utterly destroyed this team's defense. Josh Morrissey's really the only one left. Dmitry Kulikov as well is a pretty good player. But holy crap has this defense been destroyed. Now let's move on to the forwards. Patrik Laine, Kyle Connor, both 30-goal scorers, highly, highly important offensive players for them on the wings. Both unsigned RFAs, still a week before the start of the regular season, still not signed. They should be able to sign at least one of them with the cap space that they have. Signing both is going to be a problem unless Byfuglien does retire and officially his cap hit comes off the books for good and he doesn't come back. Then they should have enough money to sign both of Laine and Connor. And honestly, doing that doesn't fix the defense at all, but it does help out their forward group, which right now, without Line and Connor in the lineup, looks pretty bad as well. Not as bad as their defense, but they're not in great shape either. Up front, with those two out, they are missing a ton of their goal scoring. And basically what's happened as third line players have had to move up and play second line. Second line players now, well, Nikolai Ehlers will have to move from the second line to the first line. Fourth line players have now become third line players, and you've got, a lot of players who probably don't even belong in an NHL lineup having to play significant NHL minutes for Winnipeg. So this is not a good situation. For lineup, I did put a lineup together for them, but I just copied what Cap Friendly has because, quite honestly, I have no idea what this team is going to do. And we're going to see that with these players missing from the lineup, this team does not look like the Winnipeg Jets that we've seen for the past couple of seasons. So the top line now, without Kyle Connor there to play on the left side, with Scheifele and Wheeler, Nikolai Ehlers moves up into that spot. Scheifele maintains the first line center spot, and Wheeler is obviously still your right wing. Then you're down into the second line with Matthew Perreault playing on the second line, Brian Little still in the middle, and Jack Roslovic coming up and playing right wing on the second line. And that's where you're seeing the changes. Perreault, much better suited as a third line player, only had 32 points last year, and that's just what he is. He's a third line player. Now he's going to have to play on the second line. Roslovic, 24 points last year. Still, I think, better suited in the bottom six. Without Line on that right wing, he's got to come up and play second line right wing. Third line, Andrew Kopp, Adam Lowry, and Mason Appleton. Mason Appleton only played 36 games last year. Borderline NHL guy, kind of on the AHL, NHL line. Now he's going to have to play, decent minutes as a third liner on this team. Adam Lowry, still a guy I really like down the middle and a good third line center. And Andrew Kopp, again, more of a fourth liner in my mind, but can play on the third line. But again, you're starting to get into guys having to play and produce more than what they should and more than what they are. And then we get to the fourth line, and oh boy, Cap Friendly has Christian Vesalainen as the fourth line left wing. I don't know anything about him. He played 4 NHL games last year, did not have a point. Mark Letestu, the veteran fourth line center, as this team's fourth line center, he did not play in the NHL last year except for 2 games. Now, again, apparently going to get a NHL chance again because of this team's situation. And Andrei Chibisov, again, did not play in the NHL last year. I have no idea about him. But you see it already. There are players in this lineup that really probably belong in the minors and not in an NHL lineup, but they're going to have to play because Line and Connor are not there. So that really just bumps everyone up the depth chart, and that is not good for this team. Now, if they can get Connor and Line back, that knocks people out of the lineup. That knocks some guys back down to the fourth line, some guys back down to the third line where they belong. That will help this forward group a lot, and I don't think up front will be as big of a problem. But let's move on to the defense, because any way you put it, this defense is going to be a problem, and there's no one coming back that's going to be a single person or fix for that. So Josh Morrissey now is clearly your number one defenseman. With Byfuglien gone, Myers gone, and Trouba gone, Josh Morrissey is clearly your number one defenseman. Cap Friendly has Sami Niku playing with him. He played 30 games last year with Winnipeg. Your second pair, Dmitry Kulikov and Neil Pionk. Pionk, who came over from the Rangers in exchange in the part of the Jacob Trouba deal. Pionk had 26 points last year with the Rangers, but was also minus 16. So, we'll have to see what kind of production you get out of him. You might get points out of him, but his play in his own zone could be a problem. And then your third pair is Nathan Beaulieu and Tucker Poolman, both guys who I think are better suited to be extra players and probably 7th or 8th defensemen, are now both into your top 6 because of the just destruction of this defense core this offseason. And that leaves Anthony Bitetto as your seventh defenseman. So, wow. Yeah, this is a defense who had, I mean, a top four of Dustin Byfuglien, Josh Morrissey, Jacob Trouba, and Tyler Myers last year. Now their top four is Josh Morrissey, Sami Niku, Dmitry Kulikov, and Neil Pionk. Talk about a downgrade. Now, we'll see if Byfuglien comes back. I have him with the asterisks down here. He could potentially come back. He just has to report to camp. But he's apparently mulling retirement, and we are getting very, very close to the start of the season. So, I don't know if I would necessarily bet on him coming back at this point, and that's another huge hit to this defense. Connor Hellebuck and Laurent Brossoit will be the goaltending duo, and honestly, Hellebuck's a good goalie. Brossoit's a fine backup, but that's not necessarily an issue that I see. I don't think goaltending is going to be the downfall of this team. They've got a lot bigger problems, Extra forwards, obviously Laine and Connor have the asterisks. They'll be regulars in the lineup if they actually sign. And Gabriel Bourque and Seth Griffith look like your extra players as far as depth guys go. Their forward group can be good, especially if Laine and Connor come back. If those two come back, their forward group can be good. It's the defense that is just absolutely destroyed, and I don't know any other way to put it. And it's going to be a huge problem, I think. And this is a team that, quite frankly, I don't see making the playoffs this year. It's going to take a lot for this team to make the playoffs in my mind. They play in a very, very difficult Central Division with a lot of good teams. And even if Laine comes back, even if Connor comes back, that doesn't fix the defense. Even if Byfuglien comes back and those two come back, that's going to be really hard to fit under the cap. I don't know how they would do that without making some other moves. Then Byfuglien and Morrissey is your top pair, and that maybe make the defense a little bit better. But again, that division's so difficult. Losing Trouba, losing Myers, losing Sherratt just in itself might be enough to knock this defense core down to the point where they're not a playoff team anymore. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. With the lineup as it currently stands, this team is in very bad shape and is nowhere near a playoff team. I mean, they're going to stink with this current lineup. If they can get some of these players back, or hopefully all of them back, they maybe could pull out a wild card spot, but even then I think that might be a stretch. This team has lost a lot, and I think it's going to be a very long year in Winnipeg. And quite frankly, with their salary cap situation and just everything going on, I don't know how they pull themselves out of this. They are going to need some incredibly crafty moves from their management and to get this thing back on track. But they've just lost a lot. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.